I'd like to talk a little bit about tooling. And so improving access to data, part of the story is going to be about having the right tools for this.
Yeah.
And can you talk about like what are the sort of the components of a data stack that are going to assist with democratizing access to data?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. So I think there's elements. So we talked a little bit about the element of lineage and understanding the lineage between all the systems and how data flows. We also sort of talked a little bit about a data catalog and a glossary, which sort of work hand in hand to make sure that we know what we've got in there and which are the pieces that matter and which are the ones that are right. There's a data quality component to that, right? Where the back end system of the bank that keeps track of your account is probably the better source for your address than whatever you entered into the web form when you were sitting in a bar trying to get a coupon, right? And so these distinctions, right, and being able to guide people as they move through the data. There's obviously the front end interface to the whole thing with a BI tool, but whichever one is your preference. There are so many these days on the market. I think all of these things are critical components, and differingly critical at different points in your evolution. The thing that I'm not saying, and intentionally not saying, is that I don't think you have to wait until some sort of idyllic platonic world where you have got all of your data in one streamlined, beautiful data lake and everything is tidy, and then we can start doing this, right? I think that's perhaps just a fruitless approach, right? And so while I appreciate and have seen tremendous results from people working with data lakes in order to get just a lot of flexibility in their data environment, the notion that has to be done and dusted as step one fully before we move on to step two, I think is a mistake, right? I think the best way is to actually accept the systems that you have, accept who you are as an IT organization, and work with that and find the connectors, find the scanners, find the pieces, find even like the change data capture tools and the other pieces that help you bring pieces together, right? Incrementally over time. The companies that I've seen be successful with this are not actually trying to overhaul the world on day one, because it's a fruitless effort. New systems are going to come in every 3 months and 6 months, and we'll be chasing our tails the whole time. Like, let's build a practice of incorporating data into our view of the world and have that continue to expand incrementally. And if you do it that way, you also get the buy-in of the business, the people sort of clamoring for more. And when people clamor for more, you typically get the budget, you typically get the focus, right? And that creating that demand within your organization is going to help move the ball forward.
That's interesting. And the idea that you need to have some sort of little success story in order to drive excitement and make more things happen, that seems really important. Do you have any ideas for what can give you a quick win here? Can you make that a bit more concrete?
Well, I think I probably have a non-technical answer for that. I'm going to give you a non-technical answer for that. I think a quick win is actually on the cultural side. I think a quick win is for senior leaders within the organization to commit to leveraging data more heavily in their communications, right? And when we see, and I've seen this repeatedly in organizations, when we see data being presented in an all hands meeting or a town hall meeting, it is universally adored, right? And when we can take the time to explain that so that every individual in the organization knows what revenue means or bookings means, or right, all of these things that might seem commonplace to those of us who deal in these pieces of data, but maybe a little more esoteric to those of us who don't, it is universally loved. And the degree to which we can increase the clip of that, the types of data, the regularity of that, that's actually going to change the entire culture of the organization so that people want more. One of the things that we'll always talk about, right, with data is that the minute you're presented with a bunch of it, you have 5 follow-up questions, right? That's actually what's going to propel you forward, is those 5 follow-up questions. When people say, well, that's interesting, but how does it vary by region? Now you've got them, right? That's what we need to catalyze. And so, I think that is actually incumbent on the leadership of an organization to make that happen.